Good morning, and thanks so much for being with us here on Atlanta News First Plus. Take a look at some of the top stories that we're following. We begin with news of a massive drug bust. Let's take a look at some of the footage from the scene. Piles and piles of meth trafficked across the Mexican border, busted here in Georgia, where families gather. Atlanta News First Don Shipman is with the First Alert breaking news tracker at the Atlanta State Farmers Market in Clayton County's Forest Park.
This was enough drugs to poison an entire city, hidden away with the vegetables that we eat. This is a massive facility, some 150 acres, and we've been watching all morning long as these trucks have been coming and going, dozens upon dozens of vendors and workers loading and unloading these trucks. The DEA says that the drugs were brought here in a tractor trailer, and this right here is what they found. Take a look at this haul. Atlanta DEA agents saying that this is $3 million worth of drugs, 2,000 pounds of methamphetamine. The Drug Enforcement Administration says that they got a tip that this massive amount of meth was being moved across the Mexican border in a tractor trailer en route to the Atlanta State Farmers Market. The drugs packed in with celery produce disguised in green bags.
It is the produce terminal for the southeastern United States. And if drugs are moving through there is a possibility for food contamination, and we know that. So it's important that we keep our consumers safe.
DEA agents arresting Jesus Martinez. The DEA saying that this is proof that the cartels have a foothold here in the state of Georgia. We're in Clayton County. Don Shipman, Atlanta News First.
Thanks so much to Don for that report. Okay, let's turn to this story out of Decatur happening tonight. History in the making in that city of Decatur. For the first time, a student will become a member of the school board. Atlanta News First reporter Rebecca Schramm tells us the student will be sworn in at tonight's meeting.
The idea is to amplify student voices by having one of them on the school board. So tonight, a teenager will be sworn in to the local school board. Take a look, because our partners at Decatur have snapped this photo. There are two young ladies in the front. The one on the left is the student apprentice. Her name is Nia Batra. She is a junior, so she is preparing to be a representative next year. To her right is Sophia De Elena. She is a senior, and tonight she will be sworn in as the first ever student representative on the Board of Education for the city schools of Decatur. They were chosen by their peers to do this, by the way. So what will it look like for this student representative? Well, she will participate in board meetings. She won't be a voting board member, and she won't be able to attend executive sessions, but she will be able to participate in discussions, and she'll receive course credit for what will essentially be training on civil service. And who knows, this just might inspire her to run for public office one day and serve her community in a more formal capacity. In Decatur, Rebecca Schramm, Atlanta News First.
And thanks so much to Rebecca for that report. We'll keep following that. Okay, you know, the city of Atlanta is now launching a new task force to reduce the risk of rooftop fires after that massive fire. Atlanta News First reporter Patrick Quinn spoke one-on-one with the fire chief about this task force.
This is just a rooftop fire. It's not going anywhere.
Fire officials said the Bell Collier Apartments caught fire during an unsanctioned event on the roof where someone used charcoal on a propane grill. A recent lawsuit filed against the complex owners claimed the rooftop deck also lacked the structural integrity to prevent a fire from spreading to the building below. It was the second complex in Atlanta in the last year to catch fire, sparked from the roof. In November, fireworks were reportedly to blame for this massive fire started on the roof at the Reserve at La Vista Walk Apartments. Now the Atlanta Fire Department is launching a task force to increase inspections to reduce the risk of future rooftop apartment fires.
It's something that we need to be gauging and watching a lot closer to ensure that we're prepared, one, to respond, but initially we want to make sure that those spaces are compliant to the fire code.
Fire Chief Rod Smith said right now major complexes are inspected every 24 months. He said with this new task force, they could cut that in half.
Our goal is to get to an annual inspection for everything, but we just surely don't have the bandwidth, and the code does not push us in that direction.
The news of a new task force comes as Chief Smith said they are adding more apparatus to their aging fleet. 14 pieces of equipment, including 8 fire engines, will soon be delivered to the city. The help couldn't come soon enough to southwest Atlanta, where Station 30 remains closed due to a shortage of equipment. Councilmember Antonio Lewis pressed the chief for a makeshift station to stand up while the city builds a new permanent firehouse.
I need it.
Understood.
You said it, I need it. Fire Station 30 has been closed over a year now, and we need it.
And thanks to Patrick for that report. We're going to keep following the latest there. Also, we're following the latest with the YSL trial. A state star witness in the YSL trial returning to the stand again today. Just yesterday, Kenneth Lil Woody Copeland was deemed a hostile witness in court. And after telling the court he would lie to police, even if it meant blaming rapper Young Thug, just to get out of trouble. Copeland is expected to continue testifying today. The state says they still have about 100 more witnesses that they are planning to call up. If you want to watch this, we have gavel-to-gavel coverage on our secondary stream, also known as our special event stream, which you can watch again right here on Atlanta News First Plus. Okay, let's talk about the forecast and the risk of heat for today. First Alert meteorologist Courtney Jacobazzi tracking this forecast for us, and I guess it actually feels more comfortable because it's less humid, right?
Yeah, it's been a little bit nicer the last couple of days, and I hope everyone's enjoyed it because we all know good and well we're still in summer. It's August. That's not going to last. But what you're looking at right now, I showed you this yesterday as well. This is the heat risk for today. So our humidity is still on the slightly lower end. I'm not going to say it feels fall-like. The mornings have been comfortable. But by the afternoon, when we've warmed up, the sun is so strong this year that regardless of some slightly lower humidity, it's still going to be a really hot day. But because our humidity is at least a little more tolerable, our heat risk isn't high today. But notice it is still at least a little higher the further east you go, where that humidity is still a little bit higher as well. Temperatures today, above average, climbing into the low to mid 90s, a little hotter the further east you go, places like Eatonton, Thomaston, low to mid 90s down there. When it comes to how long this slightly lower humidity is going to last, unfortunately, through the day today, it's going to slowly creep back up, and then it is back to that summer-like feel as we head into the next couple of days. So here's a look at this afternoon. Generally low 60s, a few upper 60s sprinkled in there, and upper 60s isn't necessarily comfortable. That's pretty muggy. And as we head into the morning tomorrow, it is not going to have that fall-like feel that we've had the last couple of days with those dew points closer to 70 degrees. And as we head into the afternoon, most of us will be back in that mid to upper 60 range. Some spots might not be unbearably humid, but tomorrow, this afternoon, and then more so tomorrow, you'll notice that we're not going to wake up to that really comfy feel, and the afternoons are going to feel pretty summer-like with temperatures staying in the upper 80s to low 90s. When it comes to that rain chance, we're mainly looking in far east Georgia, so you won't see a rain chance on the 7-day forecast because it's at 10% or less. We're talking from Habersham County up into the mountains through Athens, maybe down to Morgan, Walton County, maybe an isolated storm, but for the most part, we're looking at a very minimal rain chance for the day today. Most of it stays out of our viewing area in far east Georgia. Here's a look at that humidity again. Unfortunately, tomorrow it starts to ramp back up and it just stays more summer-like all the way through the rest of the week. And as we head into the upcoming weekend with that moisture in place and a cold front moving in, that will increase our rain chance after a very dry stretch of weather. So we had a very wet July, if you remember. We had the fourth wettest July on record in Atlanta. And then now we've only picked up 0.04 of an inch of rain. And if we make it without measurable rainfall through Friday, that'll be 2 weeks without measurable rainfall in the city of Atlanta. So the moisture in place ahead of a cold front, we'll take it, even though it's not going to be as comfortable. We need that moisture for that front to work with to give us some rainfall because we have been pretty dry so far for this month. Here's a look at the air conditioning forecast. Yeah, needless to say, you're going to need to crank it up because it is still going to be hot. And again, with that humidity climbing, it's going to feel more uncomfortable out there. So it's going to be a couple of days where you're really going to need to maybe turn the AC on in the car a little early to cool it down a bit with temperatures in the low 90s through Wednesday. Thursday, we might have some cooler air in the mid to upper levels kind of mix in, maybe a few extra clouds. That could hold temperatures below 90 degrees on Thursday, but still going to be a warm day. But your AC might get at least a little bit of a break on Thursday. Rain chance-wise, here's a look at that. Again, Friday we'll start to increase that coverage of rain to about 30%. That's out ahead of our cold front. Saturday right now seems to be the best chance for rain at 40%. No first alert weather days. Doesn't look like any day is going to be a washout. Not really going to have a huge impact on your weekend plans. But just know that Saturday we'll be watching for scattered showers and thunderstorms along a front that'll be pushing in. And then we'll introduce a small rain chance on Sunday as that front kind of makes its way out. Models are struggling on exactly how quickly that front's going to move. Our steering currents right now, and that's typical in the summer, summertime, especially in the middle of summer, you get the steering currents in the mid to upper levels get really weak, so there's nothing pushing those fronts in really quickly. So we could have a few lingering showers into Sunday, but models are hinting that we might get at least another slight drop in humidity beyond that front as we head into the start of next week. We'll see a lot of sunshine. It'll be potentially pretty comfortable by next Monday, but I don't want to get your hopes up just yet, but we'll be keeping an eye on that because maybe we'll get a nice little taste of fall as we head into the start of next week with some maybe slightly lower humidity again in the forecast come Monday. But that's something we'll watch a little closer to the day. When it comes to the tropics, we officially have Tropical Storm Ernesto. This developed a little sooner than we thought. We thought that we were going to have a tropical depression at this point, but sure enough, the water very warm in this region, currently bringing very heavy rain and some gusty wind to the U.S. Virgin Islands, moving very close to San Juan, Puerto Rico, and the island of Puerto Rico. So this could potentially make a direct hit on Puerto Rico as a tropical storm. It could potentially go just to the east of it, but nonetheless, Puerto Rico is still expected to get some pretty gusty wind, heavy rain, high surf. And as we head into the next several days, as Ernesto continues to make its way through the Atlantic, it will strengthen into a Category 1 hurricane by either Wednesday night or Thursday morning. And then as it continues to curve off of the coast there, it will become a Category 2 hurricane, potentially by Thursday night, early Friday morning. And it will get very, very close to a Cat 3. Cat 3 is 111 mile per hour winds. So not out of the question that as we head into next week, if this is still active, that it does become a Category 3 hurricane, or when we get forecast updates from the Hurricane Center, that they think that this is going to strengthen a little quicker and become a Cat 3, potentially making landfall in Bermuda, the island of Bermuda, a very small island, but nonetheless, if you had travel plans out that way, just something to be paying attention to. That would be Saturday and Sunday that you'd start to get impacts from that. Now, it could go to the west of it, could go to the east of it, still some fine-tuning to do with it, but nonetheless, Bermuda possibly getting hit by a hurricane as we head into the weekend. Here's a look at that 7-day forecast, your first alert 7-day forecast. Again, no first alert weather days, no super impactful weather. In fact, our weather team was like, man, it's a little boring out there in the weather department, but hey, that's all right. We'll take boring every once in a while because once fall and winter come and we get all those cold fronts and the potential for severe weather, we will be hoping for boring and reminiscing on boring. The forecast over the next couple days, mostly dry. Can't rule out a stray thunderstorm, especially in far east Georgia, temperatures in the upper 80s to low 90s. And then as we head into this upcoming weekend, we will have a cold front move in that'll increase our coverage of rain starting Friday. And then Saturday is the wettest day right now with about a 40% coverage of showers and storms. And Sunday, maybe just a few lingering showers from that front as it sinks south, but Monday will be great. We'll wake up in the upper 60s to low 70s, maybe some slightly lower humidity. We'll be keeping an eye on that. And then temperatures in the low 90s Monday with a lot of sunshine. All right, everyone, I hope you make it a wonderful day. Thank you for choosing us here on Atlanta News First Plus for your top stories and your forecast. We will catch you here next time.